low condensation, and it doesn't build anybody and it doesn't help anybody, but it does make people feel better about themselves because they're actually pushing somebody down, which doesn't really lift them up, because as you push them down, you went down with them because then you stepped on them when they were down, meaning that they dropped some lower vibrational frequencies and then you went with them. And then you made a joke out of it, and it's called gossip. Start refraining for gossip and stuff, that people's weaknesses and what they are. I know what happens. There's times we got to talk about certain situations as families, as friends, and even maybe children, and even mom and dads. We got to talk about certain things that certain people do. That's dealing with certain things in your household. But really, a lot of times, gossip has nothing to do with that. It's just a way to laugh and to let off steam to make us feel better for our insecure stuff. Let's just be honest. Call it as it is. Take responsibility. Quit playing the blame game, right? So, another one is, remember to do things for people not because you expect something back, right? But because it's just so good to do when you're just coming out of a place of kindness, giving, increased awareness. You're starting to find these things that you're able to do as you find other parts of you. One of my biggest things on the journey was to find out the very things that I thought were difficult when I tried to do them back in the day or when I was younger. I found them difficulty doing was like being disciplined, being having everything that went with it. You're supposed to be disciplined. You're supposed to be this, and you're supposed to be that. And I found out that the problem with that criteria that people looked at was they were always trying to do it outside of the power that they packed, when really all those aspects of whether it was forgiveness, whether it was gratefulness, whether it was uh, anything that they would do, being consistent, being disciplined, being thoughtful, was really had to be activated from within. But we always kind of try to find it without and pull it in without, and that don't work. That's the outside game that I talked about in the former video, when everything is taught to you is to seek something outside of you, when really all of the old books and spiritual teachings and that always drove you that this was within. The kingdom of God's within. Knowing thyself is within. Um, um, there's a Hindu story about the people wandering so far out of themselves that they didn't know the way back. That means they don't know that the way is within. They lost the way, not knowing it's within them, because they wandered so far out of themselves they didn't have their directional GPS harmonized with them to bring them back to where they were from. That's sad, but that's the truth, and we could see it all over the place, right? We've maybe even experienced that at times. It's sad. So we talked about certain things. How about if you're an artist and you're a writer, start doing those things. Those are creative aspects of yourself, because one of the things that you're going to tap into in your frequency and vibration is your creatability, your creativeness that you have. So that creativeness is going to align you with your creative aspect in a more, the more you do it, the more you get just like certain practices of your gifts. The more you do it, the more you're so aware that when it's active and that you can use it. It's almost like, remember, there's times in our life we go, I knew that and I didn't trust it. I felt it in my gut and I didn't trust it and I didn't go with it. And I kind of knew that. I already knew that. There's times we haven't cut it aligned with our gut, our intuition feeling, which is the knower. We went against ourselves, right? And the more you don't go against yourselves, but you connect and you start activating, the more you'll see that yourself is on it. It actually is on it. The more you come a company, it would be like an athlete. The more that you shoot threes, if you're a basketball player, guess what? The more better you get at making threes. The more adept you get at being able to knock down threes. The more confidence you have that when I got the shot, boom. As soon as you let it go, you go, oh, thread. I know that's going down. And that's with every aspect you do. So the more you get used to using these things and gifts, and the more you trust them and activate them, guess what happens? The more you get familiar with them, the more you know that you know that you know when they're activated, when to and when not to, and when to restrain and when to attract, right? We talked about eating food, right? Practice self-acceptance, education. Dive deep in learning stuff that's going to help you, whether it's a job, whether it's your spiritual connectivity, learning true history, realizing you're probably already finding